Never before has so much been built so fast. China's skylines have soared, new cities have appeared, and millions of apartments have gone up. Following the global financial crisis, Beijing pumped huge amounts of credit into the economy. China continued to see spectacular growth, while the other major economies stagnated. But a huge chunk of this money ended up fueling the real estate boom, and what you have now is a property sector which is overinflated, and you also have industries whose loans are being rolled over, in effect a massive subsidy. Now, much of this debt was racked up by local governments, and there's growing fears that the levels are simply unsustainable.
If you look at the history of countries that have had these kinds of investment-driven growth miracles, in every case they ran into a debt problem, either a debt crisis or a lost decade or 2 decades of stagnant growth as they sort of worked their way through these very high levels of debt. The new administration, I think, recognizes this, and they seem very determined to prevent the growth in debt from taking us to the point where we will start to have real debt problems in China.
Well, what the government is trying to do is restrict the amount of credit on the market so China is less dependent upon investment to drive growth. But there are fears that this could lead to a credit crunch, and already small and medium-sized businesses are finding it very tough to get a loan. Shoemaker Wang Jingshu wants to open 4 new shops in Beijing, but he can't get a loan. He says the big banks here aren't interested in small businesses like his. Well, this credit tightening that we're seeing could well lead to a string of bankruptcies, but what the government is trying to do here is create more sustainable economic growth, and what that means is less investment and trying to get the Chinese consumer to spend more. But making this massive switch is likely to be a painful business.